Alright, so hello everybody and welcome to Buttered Gaming. I'm Buttered Toast the Third, and today we're going to be continuing my little Java for Beginners tutorial here. This is episode 5, as you can see up above here. I made my nice comment up here for you to look at. And I am going to say one thing right here real quick, is I am sorry about the flashing windows issue I've been having. I do have this issue resolved. I fixed it, so it won't be doing that anymore, and I deeply apologize about that. So anyway, here we are. So in today's video, we are going to have a more in-depth look at variables. We're going to be looking at more variables. In specific, we're going to be looking at the character and the Boolean variable types. We're also going to be looking at some comparison operators at the end of the video. So to begin, we're going to be looking at the characters, but first of all, we're going to need our obligatory class initialization kind of thing. So we're going to public class, and then we need our class name, which is characters in my case. So we're going to call that characters, and we can do our little curly braces. And then we need our also obligatory main statement, which we can go public static void main open parentheses capital string args square braces closing parentheses curly braces. There we go. So there we have it. So as always, I just want to mention real quick, I forgot to mention before, you can find this source code for this at butteredgaming.com/source, and I can actually show that to you real quick. Gaming.com/source. So here we are at buttergaming.com/source, and we have our tutorial list. As you can see, I only have one tutorial right now, and it's Java for Beginners. So when we click on it, we can see our episode lists, and over here we have our nice download and view buttons. So this is episode 5. I don't have the source up for it yet, but if you saw episode 4, which I really suggest you would actually start at episode 1 for this tutorial, you can actually view the source and right on GitHub here, and here it is. So it's really nice how they do that. Or you can go ahead and download the file if you want. I had to zip it so that it would download it for you, but if you followed the directions for episode 1, you should have 7-zip, or if you're using a Mac, you should just have the default unarchiving program, and there it is for you. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the video. So we're going to be looking at the character type first here. And as always, our formula is variable type, which in this case is just char for us. And then we're going to need our variable name, and this can be anything you want as long as it makes sense for you. And then it's going to equal, in the case of a variable a character variable type, we're going to need to put the value inside our single quotation marks, or apostrophe, if you will. So then we can put our variable value in here, but it can only be one character. Remember that, just one. So in the case of our video, I'll go ahead and initialize a character type there, character, and then we'll go char1 or variable1. Var1, there we go, equals, and then we can initialize our value to b, or whatever you'd like. Now, if you had a character and it was var2, and then you initialized it to just b like that with no apostrophe or single quotation, it would think that you're trying to find the value that's held in a variable called b, which we're not, so we're just going to keep it like that and just leave it. So there we go. And as always, it's giving me this little error saying I'm never using the variable, but it's not a big deal. So there's one thing I wanted to have you guys look at real quick. There is a you can make the value in a character uppercase using a method. So if you wanted to do that, we can initialize a character variable 2 equals the class you're using is character, and then the method is dot to uppercase, and then you open parenthesis and you have to pass in an argument. So in this case we can pass in variable 1, and it would take the value for variable 1 there and make it to uppercase. So then if I was to display the value of var2, oops, there we go, you will notice that when I run it, it gives me an uppercase B. So lowercase b here, and then you can to uppercase to an uppercase B. And I believe there is also a to lowercase, I'm not really sure though. So for those of you who are wondering, if you were to pass in a value that was already uppercase or was a number, what would it do? And it would basically do nothing. This to uppercase would pretty much just do nothing if you passed in a value that was already uppercase or a number. So in the case of variables, you can actually, or characters can store numbers, but just so you know, if you try to like add the value of variable 3 and variable 4 that also had a number, it would not work. It wouldn't add the two numbers like it would in an integer, just so you're aware of that. Another thing that we should really talk about before I get too far is you can actually reassign variables to new values. So if I had variable 1 and I wanted to assign it something new, I could assign it as C instead of B. Now, what a variable does is it basically assigns a spot in the random access memory, or RAM, for those of you who kind of know about that, and it stores the value in the RAM. And then what you're doing here, if you take the variable 1, you're taking that spot that has B in it at the moment, and you're reassigning C to that spot. So you can use variables over again. It's not set in stone once you assign it. Just wanted to talk about that a little bit. So then if we have user input, there we go. If we have user input, we can find characters in the input at a certain point. Now, this is accomplished through a find in line, but to do this, we need a scanner first of all. So as always, we'll need to come up here and import scanner object. So we can import java.util.scanner, and then we need to initialize scanner object. This is actually more of a class than an object. There we go. So then, as you'll notice, I'm putting it up at the top here, right at the very beginning of the main statement. And this is because when the compiler goes through the program, it's all sequential. So it'll start from the top and go to the bottom, like I just did there with the highlighting. So if I initialize the scanner after I tried to use the, after I needed it down here, it would not work because there was no scanner object at all. So we can go scanner, my scanner equal new scanner system.in. I'm not going to explain that because I've already explained it in an earlier video. So there it is. So then what we can do is we can prompt for input, and we can system.out.println user input, doesn't really matter what it is, and then we can take our character. So if we have variable 3 over here, we can just reassign for variable 3 value. There we go, just to reuse a value that we're not actually ever using. And we can go var3 equal my scanner dot next line. My scanner dot find in line. There we go. And then we have open parenthesis, open quotation mark, and then we can put something in here and it'll search for something in that line. In most cases, though, you can use this little period here. And basically what the period means is that it'll search for any character that is not necessarily a period, but it can be. And then we need a dot char at, and then open parenthesis again, and then we can go 0. So that's basically saying we're going to find the first character in that line. And then we can display the value of variable 3, and it would be system dot, my goodness, dot out dot print line variable 3. And if we run it, we'll see the value of variable 2, and then we can take our user input and we'll go hello. Look at the types of operators that we have. So we have equals equals, which compares for similar values. So if I had something like, there we go, I just put it over here. If I had something like 1 equals equals 1, that would be true. Something like that. So you could use a Boolean to evaluate for truth. Or you can use them again in if statements. So you can have, say, if the value in variable 6 equals equals true, that's what I was talking about earlier, then there you go. So then we have our exclamation point equals, which compares for values that are not the same. So you can think of the exclamation point as meaning not equal. So exclamation point not, and then equal, so we have our not equal. So 1 does not equal 2. So here we can take out would be true part, so you can just see 1 equals equals 1, 1 does not equals 2. So it's kind of like that. Again, you can use them in if statements, something like that. So then we have our obvious less than, which compares for values greater than the first value. So if you had, say, 1 is less than 2 again. And then we have our other side of it, which is our greater than. There's people yelling in the other room. So we have our values that are less than the first value. So we have, there we go, 2 is greater than 1. Something like that. So then we have our less than or equals to, which compares for values that are greater than or equal equal to the first value, which could be something like 1 is less than 2, and we can have 1 is less than or equal to 1. So same thing. Then we have the other side of that again, which is our greater than or equal to, which compares for values that are less than or equal to the first value, which would be like 2 is greater than or equal to 1, and 2 is greater than or equal to 2, something like that. And that's actually pretty much it for our comparison operators. So just remember those, and we can use them to compare the value of, say, variable 6 to true. So this doesn't really happen very often, but sometimes if you want to compare, say, letters values, like A is actually less than A, well, B, there we go, make it easy for you to understand for now, which makes sense. And the same thing occurs with, say, A is less than B, uppercase and lowercase. But then if you have something that's very strange, it goes A is actually my goodness, we have Z is actually greater than A. Uppercase Z is actually greater than lowercase a. So just if you want to remember it, it goes A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, all uppercase, and then the same, all lowercase. So that's kind of from greater to lesser, it would be in this order. So there you go. That's actually pretty much it for this video. That's all I've really got. So thank you very much for watching. Hope everything I said makes sense. Hope I commented enough for you there. I've got so many comments. But again, I'll have this up on ButteredGaming.com/source. You can see it. I will have it also on GitHub for you to view. You can also download it off of ButteredGaming.com/source. So again, thank you very much for watching, and come again next time.
Hey, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you can click on the previous general upload section there to see an episode of Minecraft Dual Players. Otherwise, you can click on the previous playlist upload to see the previous video in this playlist.